Just waiting. It takes a while on YouTube to load up. Let's see, stream key done. Stream URL. We got all that stuff. So just takes a bit. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay, stream key. Yeah, I have all this set up. So let me just, it's all done. Okay, give me a second. See if we are good. All right. Okay, says we're live. Welcome to the live show. All right, hold on.
Welcome, everyone.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good to go. Oh my gosh. Welcome, everybody. We are on time today. All right, I got this page up so I can look at the comments in case any come in. We are on time.
Look at that.
For an air sun and an air moon. I know. I'm astounded because I am on time.
I know you're like, we're on time, like surprise. You're like, I'm on time.
I'm on time today. Yes, Argentine time. So by the way, like I'm from an Argentine family. You know how long it took me to like be on time for places? It's just yeah, because growing up, it was always like we were always like a half hour late or an hour late, or my mom was always late, almost always late, like picking us up from school. I think she probably has some ADHD there, like thought she had more time. Anyway, so it took me forever to realize on my own, like if I needed to be somewhere at 6 and it took 30 minutes to go get there, I had to backtrack from that 5:30. Then I need time to get ready. So it took me a long time to like do that. So now I'm early all the time. Like I get every place early, especially where we live in the DC area. It's constant traffic. You have to plan to be there early. So now I'm always early. So when I'm like a few minutes late, I get really stressed. So it's funny how that like total 180, right?
It switched for you.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, we're here with a resident intuitive, Amy Strauss, resident Alexandria area intuitive in the DMV. And yours truly, your resident Gemini, and this is Positive Parenting with Astrology. And today we are tackling a topic we're going to get into, and I'm going to set it out. So I titled this session, The Biggest Lie Women Are Told, right? And the way this came about is something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I'm sure every mom has been thinking about this. Every woman has been thinking about this. Don't even need to be a parent to think about this. So I had the idea for this session, Amy, you'll appreciate this, because I'm big into personal finance, as you guys know. And I'm a member of a bunch of online like women's financial independence groups and things like this. And there was a mom asking in the group about this job opportunity she had to switch jobs. And it was, paid a lot more, was a lot cooler, something she wanted to do, but it would take her away from home a lot, like travel or something like this. So she would miss out on time with the kids. And a lot of women, so basically she was asking for help, advice, like, should I take this job or not? Well, clearly that's a personal decision, right? But a lot of the women commenting said, along the same vein, said, yeah, take the job. You can do everything. You can do it. You can do it all. And like my heart sank when I read those answers. Because so the thesis statement I kind of want to start off today with is that I think women can do it all, can have it all as far as career, kids, family life. However, we cannot give maximum effort to all those areas at the same time. there are going to be choices and there are going to be regrets. And one of my favorite recent movie quotes is from the movie Vengeance, which, if you like The Office, you remember BJ Novak, Ryan from The Office, is his directorial debut, Vengeance. And it takes place in Texas, which I love Texas, so a soft spot for Texas. So it's one of the reasons I like the movie. But there's a great line from the movie when his character is talking to the mom of a friend of his, and he's saying, "Yeah, I lived my life with no regrets." The mom, who's in the movie like a little older than us, maybe 10 years older than us, says, "Life is all regrets. The trick is you have to make the regrets count." So my point in saying that is we cannot give maximum effort to all these areas at the same time. Like, I found that for myself, I could not give maximum effort to going all the way with my profession, my day job, and I could not at the same time give maximum effort to going all the way with parenting. So when I say going all the way with my day job, it's like, work really hard, impress my bosses, get accolades, get all these promotions, become a manager, become a director. If you work for a law firm, it's become a partner. So if you litigate, it's if you take the most interesting cases and you work really hard and you're burning the midnight oil litigating that stuff. You cannot do that. At least in my case, I found I could not do that. And at the same time, give maximum effort to parenting. And by that, I mean, be involved in my kid's life, know who his friends are, know who his teachers are, be emotionally present for him, be emotionally available for him when he needs me. He's a Scorp, as you know, he's a lot of emotional needs, be a friend to him, do bonding activities with him, show him the world, educate him. I could not do all that. And I see a lot of women I went to law school with, before they became parents, ran, straight out of the gate after law school, went to work for firms. Some of them are even like either partners for firms right now, or one of them I know is acting chairman of a federal agency, the legal department of a federal agency, and they're parents, and they have had nannies when the kids were young, and now they're really struggling because the kids are older and they want mom around, and mom's not around all the time. And there's no judgment in me saying this. Like, you make the decision you want. I am not saying not to work and have while you have kids. In fact, I tell women the opposite. You must be financially independent. You must. Absolutely. For a bunch of reasons we don't have time to go into today. You must. That's number one. You must be financially independent. I'm not saying don't work and have kids. I'm saying I don't think you can expect yourself to give maximum energy to following your profession all the way, going all the way you can with your profession, and going all the way with parenting at the same time, right? Like, I publish, but I haven't published a book since like 2020, and that's partly because I made the decision to focus on my parenting, and I have to pay the bills with my day job. So that's kind of where I wanted to start out. I think if we give the impression that people in general, but we're talking about women today, women can give maximum effort at all these things at the same time, we're setting ourselves up for failure, because it's not just a time allocation, it's an energy allocation. I think that's the key. So that's kind of what I wanted to start with today. I think you're always gonna something you're gonna have to give something up to some degree for some length of time. And I am seeing now a lot of people that were hired after me and going further in their careers, and that's fine. That's fine, because years ago I made a conscious decision that my kid needed me, and that I was going to go all the way with parenting and give maximum effort to parenting, and I would work to pay the bills, but there were some things professionally that were going to have to go on hold for a while, not forever. So anyway, that's what I want to start with. Bit of a controversial take. Like, I certainly don't want to dissuade anybody from doing anything, but I think either way, there are going to be regrets. And that's the key, is just making sure that how you're structuring your life is your conscious decision to do so. Right. Anyway, so I don't know. What do you think about that? Am I totally off the wall? Am I making any sense? Am I not making sense? Is this all just a stream of consciousness BS?
I think you always make sense. And the way you put it together, I think is the narrative that many women identify with. So I think, especially in DC, right? Okay, so let me just give some context. Before we do these live streams, Spirit knows what we're talking about. And people will start filtering in my room. So I was setting up my room, I clear my room, and then this woman sat down and she has like glasses on and like an old timey hat. And she presents herself as sort of like, I am here to talk about mothering and motherhood because it was central to her life. And she's present with many mothers, like giving me confirmation chills. Understand, every time a woman becomes a mother, she accesses motherhood energy from grand consciousness, from the consciousness that we're all related to. And her message is this: you are never alone as a mother, ever. Even in your darkest moment, I'm doing this wrong. So that's the message she really wanted to get through before we got started. It was funny. She was talking to my guides and they're like kind of having a little discussion on who's going first. Because she really want to make that clear to you all. Like, you can access as a woman. So that example of the woman putting something in a chat. So she's saying like, you can do that spiritually. You can launch a question and say, Universal Mother, what do you think of this job? What do you think? And when you ask, you wait for the answer, right? And when the answer comes, it comes in thoughts that occur to you, things your friend texts you, one of Maria's videos. And for whatever reason, you get a confirmation chill or a ping, and that's part of the answer, right? It's part of the answer. But she's just saying like, you can go on chat boards if you like. Just make sure you're not in a little bit of a fear spiral, or you're not looking for the answer you're already wanting. The other thing Team Rainbow wants to point out, when you first started talking about like women can't have it all, they say you can have whatever you want in whatever quantity you want it in, period. Period. And this phase of life for women is understanding their personal power. You've seen many psychics talk about, within the past few months to now, the divine feminine being activated. This is what that means. Women understanding their own personal power, because many of the female wants aren't really wants. It's the things that you get after the thing. They think they want this, but it's really that. So there's not been this honesty. Plus, the model we are using is a masculine model and not a feminine one. Do you understand? We are trying to put something into an old wineskin, to use Jesus's phrase, because he always shows up for these things. He's saying women need to remake it all. That's what he's saying. It's sort of just like, it's not about not being able to have it. You can have whatever the F you want. And they're very, very clear about that. But what they're saying is like, you are staring at something and it's behind you. They're just making me feel like you're thinking of it in such a narrow way. Mm-hmm. Travel, these things mean nothing to spirit. They mean less than nothing. Your categories on this material plane are garbage to them, because they know the intense power that you have as creator, and they see you making it smaller and small. Well, I have to do this, and I have to get home by it's like you are doing that. Nobody else is doing that but you. So that's like their first. They have a lot to say on this topic.
That's powerful, because a lot of that, I think, is our conditioning, right? So I have a lot to say about this, and it fits in with I don't know if you caught my interview with Stephanie Eig, who is a homeschooling coach, from a week or two ago, and she talked a lot about, her kids are older now, and about the traditional schooling model not serving them. So she took it upon herself, and she's from a family of traditional school educators, teachers. She took it upon herself to explore different options, and they went to micro-schooling, homeschooling, and eventually unschooling. And now the kids are young adults, very successful, driven, no problem. But that push to like the educational disruption is that we're experiencing now, especially with the Pluto and Aquarius and these huge transits coming up, is being led by moms. Because whether we like it or not, traditionally, moms are still responsible for the emotional health of the family, the emotional well-being of the family, by and large, right? And we serve a lot of the time as kind of the executive function of the family manager. Whether or not we have our own careers is kind of by default, that's just still falling on us. not, I mean, yeah, you have families where maybe that's, carried more equally, but generally that's the case. So the whole education disruption phenomenon and learning, exploring different types of educational models for kids is coming from largely from being driven by the moms. So yeah, it's important to point out.
So Spirit is taking issue with one thing you said, which
Sure.
is XYZ falls on us. And they said, these are beliefs. Women are learning how to serve themselves. And I don't mean self-care. I don't mean like
Yeah.
take a spa day.
Yeah.
I mean like learning how to serve your own self in terms of your own personal power, what you want in life, all these things. The purpose for a woman is never, I've been given this cross to bear and that cross is my family. Now, what you and I have in common is sometimes it feels like a cross to bear. And that's when you know you've taken a wrong turn. You're in the bushes. So Spirit says, when that happens, why do I have to cook dinner out? When that happens, stop. The first thing, when you're going in the wrong direction, stop walking, stop, back up. Women react in two different ways. They either get cranky about it or they say, it's my cross to bear.
Right.
I was put on this martyr.
It's a martyr
energy.
effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Both
not good either.
are misguided.
Yeah.
Both are misguided. Take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Ask yourself, what is it that you want in this moment? And it can't be what you don't want. That's cheating and it won't get you far. It won't get you far. So they're saying every single time that happens, this falls on me. That attitude gets you nowhere. And it takes you away from your personal power in terms of how you serve yourself. Mm-hmm. The same care and attention that women place on reading other people's emotions, they are going to start doing for themselves. How am I feeling about this decision? How do I, instead of that like radar tracking, a lot of women do this where it's like, and as a middle child, I can tell who's mad at who's upset in a second.
Oh yeah.
That is not my responsibility. I do not need to hold that. So the work of womanhood is to remove that focus from others. That doesn't mean you can't serve. It doesn't mean you can't help, but it just means that you start turning it here. What do I want? What am I looking for? What am I? And raising yourself up in your own power, in your own joy, finding your own happiness, finding all those things that you want for yourself. That is going to be the journey of women. It's not going to be done for anyone other than the joy of creating. But no one is ever brought here to suffer as a mother. You're not in prison. You know what I mean? Like this is not any sort of like feeling or sensation about that. It's just a sign that you've gone off. You're off on a beaten track. Like walk back, walk back, walk back. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
Right. It takes a really secure, confident woman to do that and go against the societal programming, especially where we live. Well, aren't you going to do anything with your degree or this, or you should do that? Because there's, we're taught from a young age. And I just interviewed somebody and we talked about this. And we talked about this in my interview with Stephanie Eig the other week too. We're taught from a young age, at least this was the case for me. Oh, you get the top grades, you get into the top college, you get the top job, you meet somebody who makes good money, you have kids, and you're fulfilled. Fulfillment unlocked. That's not what happens. And there was a point in my early 30s where I achieved all those things. And I was like, okay, where's the fulfillment I was promised? I was promised fulfillment if I did all these things. And it didn't happen. And clearly, like, if you're like, if you could say you're 100% fulfilled, it's like, what's the point of this journey? If the journey is the destination, then what's the point? So I'm not saying I want now, right? I'm more enlightened now. I think about things differently. But at the time, I felt like I was sold a bill of goods. Like I was promised, when I graduated undergrad with top grades, when I graduated law school with top grades, I would have employers falling at my feet wanting to employ me. And that didn't happen. Why not? Well, because I'm not owed that. I'm not entitled to that. But it was like from a young age, I was programmed that if you do all these things, you will have a fulfilling life. You will achieve fulfillment. And that's not how it works. And my point in saying this is we're sold a bill of goods. And when people like you and me who are more enlightened are trying to, be more conscious, people think we're crazy. because they're still in that old programming.
Okay, so they're
So
bringing up a few things. They want you to tell the story. So I'll leave that to you, the story about the face. Okay, they want you to tell that story. But before
I'm
we
not
go
going to tell
there,
that story.
they want it's your pot. You can do whatever you want, but I have to pass it on. Okay, so just
The
really
one I
quick
told you
though.
the other day?
Yeah, that's what they want to talk about.
All right, fine. I'll
They
tell
want to
it.
talk about it, so you
I'll
have to
tell
tell
it.
the story. Go ahead.
Okay, now
Yeah.
with the lady messaging me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is why I'm a little jaded this week. Maybe I'll tell the story and it'll be clearer. Okay, so so I was raised Catholic, and while I can't say I'm a practicing Catholic, so I don't go to mass every Sunday, and I'm divorced twice. But I still I there's a lot of things I like about the Catholic Church. I think a lot of Catholics I know consider service to be very important, right? And my son goes to Catholic school, and one of the reasons he goes, or many reasons he goes, one of the reasons he goes is because they emphasize service, and that is something that is so important in not only because it's important to help others, but also because it helps kids build self-esteem, just being of service, right? That they are able to help people, it builds their self-esteem. So that's some of the reasons that he goes. Anyway, so we have a Facebook group for the parents, right? And anyway, long story short, I met a lady who was very nice from the school, and that kind of inspired me to put an email out to the Facebook parents group, just a general message, right? And I said, hey, would anybody be interested in a semi-regular like parent meetup, right? Because once in a blue moon, somebody will do something like that. But I'm a single mom, so it's nice to have connections with other parents, especially now the kids are older and they do plans on their own. So the parents are not as involved in the kids' plans. Like we don't do the play dates and stuff anymore like they were when they were like we did when they were in elementary school. So literally I just posted a general message if anybody would be interested in like doing a breakfast meetup once a month or every other month, to be involved in the school, things like that. Fine. And like within half an hour, I get a random Facebook message from one of the moms. And literally she said, I clicked on your profile. Apparently she like creeped my profile. Fine, whatever. On Facebook, I creeped your profile and I thought I would send this along to you. And it was an article on the Catholic Church's stance on astrology. I'm like, okay. And I told Amy, see, this is why I don't reach out to people. Because like, and we can do a whole separate episode, and we will, on whether religion is compatible or incompatible with these spiritual things. That's totally a different topic and ball of wax. But my point is, if every time I reach out, I get burned, like, I mean, what's the point? Like, I'm already like a rugged individualist and a hermit, so I'll just stay that way. Anyway, so Amy and I had this whole discussion about it. About why it's still important to try to reach out, right? And I'm going to let Amy take it from here.
Okay, so Spirit. So thank you for talk. They weren't going to continue until you told the story. So now you told the story.
There you
So
go.
what they're saying is the experience of feeling in your gut when you feel like you've stretched yourself into who you really are. So you reached out because you're like, this is who I really am. I want this connect. That came from a vulnerable-ish place, because it's a place that,
Of course.
those are things that you usually don't do because you're a rugged
Because
individualist.
I hate people. I mean, I'm a rugged individualist.
So is that who you truly are? We will leave that question for later. So here you reach a point of like, I'm connected to these women. I want connection to these women. I'm like these women. I think I might like to know them better. I think maybe they would like to know me better. You reach that point, and then you get something coming in, floating in from the universe, and it says, all the things that you've been saying in your head is going to happen when you do this. And that thing happens, like confirmation chill. You're just sort of like, the thing you feared, maybe before you even reached out, these Catholic moms will never accept me. No one will ever. So this, you see, is the boomerang effect of harboring a belief and seeing that belief come back to you. And when it comes back to you, you immediately feel like crap. Why? Because that's not who you are. And that's why you're uncomfortable. You were comfortable before. You might have been vulnerable too, but you were also comfortable because you were expressing your true self, not this hermit, not this true self, the one that knows and believes in connection, that person, right? And then this boomerang came in, which came from not this woman, but from you. And spirit is pointing right at you and being like, you put that out there. You put that out there and it came right back to you because you still have judgment in your heart about astrology and cat. You know what I mean? And you also have judgment in your heart about reaching out, what it means to be open, what it means. So they're saying, they're trying to tie this back to the topic. Be mindful as a woman, beliefs you harbor about motherhood, beliefs you harbor about what mothers should or should not be doing, because these things will become prominent in your life and you'll be confused. You'll be like, wait a minute. And it'll be all these things that maybe you thought, and maybe you never even told anybody. But because we're such powerful creators, the thought becomes the action. There is no difference from the spiritual world and the material world. They're very connected, and this is how they are connected, right? So they're bringing that up in the sense of like, you really have to look back and unwind your beliefs. Every single time something like that happens, stop, ask yourself what you want, and then you can ask spirit or ask yourself or journal, whatever, talk to Maria on Signal at length, and just be like, where did this come from? And that's what they mean about service to the self. Women do not do this. You just go right into the bushes. What a bitch. I can't believe she said that to me. That's where we go. That's where we go.
Can I just stop and say, like, what kind of person do you have to be to accost a stranger?
You're still there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still there. To accost a stranger. Like Amy, like, I don't care what people do. I really don't. I will never tell anybody how to worship or how to practice or what to do or even how to parent. Not really. Like if they're dead set on doing it a certain way, it's not like I'm not here to right. But I expect the same courtesy from others. Like I expect the same non-judgmental courtesy from others.
So let's form it as a want. What do you want?
To be accepted as is without judgment. People don't have to agree with it.
Stop there. Now you've said what you want. I want to be accepted as is without judgment.
Yeah.
Can you accept her as is without judgment?
Yes. No problem.
Comment. Okay. So her comment on you're accepting without judgment. Do you see that's what they're saying. They're saying to get it, you must give it. You must give it. Accept her with her flaws, with her differing opinion than yours. And this, they're holding up motherhood as a whole really needs to learn this. Do you remember in the early 2000s, the mommy wars? Do you remember this?
Mm-mm.
I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a working mom. And it was like back and forth, and it's better to stay home. It's better to work.
Right.
And Spirit is just saying these groups were more similar than dissimilar. And the reason they were similar is they were working at the same energy level.
Yeah.
Lob grenade, lob grenade, lob grenade back, lob grenade. Like you're just lobbing grenades back and forth. Neither one were saying, this is what I do. I accept what you do. Right. That was not part of the conversation. And because it wasn't part of the conversation, it got bigger and big. Because again, thoughts are real. There's no difference between the spiritual world and this. The more you think it, the more energy you give to it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and big, right? Fair. The more you look for it, the more you see it. Fair. It is very difficult to ignore things you don't like, but it is this material point Spirit is bringing to you to say, you must disregard these things. And if you want to be accepted for your beliefs, that means accepting her for her beliefs as well. And this applies across the board on this topic and others. It's extremely hard to do, but it's a very potent spiritual practice.
But it's also important to point out, I think, that you can accept people as they are, and that does not mean sacrificing your boundaries. You can say, hey, thanks. I just ignored this person. I deleted the message. There's no point I'm not going to waste my energy. My energy is very precious. My time is very precious. I'm not wasting it, right? Other than get a little mad for a few minutes. So I think that's important because a lot of people will try to engage you and try to convince you to go against yourself, right? Like, here's what you should do, blah, blah, blah. And it's completely, in my mind, it is completely acceptable to say, I'm not talking about that. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Okay, well, I've already said I'm not talking about that. If you continue to talk about it, I will hang up the phone. I will leave the room. So I want to point that out, that you can still have your boundaries. And that's the point. We can accept other people as they are. It's like, I have people in my family that practice a different religion and that kind of are vocal about it and think they're better than other people because they practice it. Thank you. You said your piece. I have no interest in what you practice. Good luck to you. But I for certainly 100% support your right to practice as you wish, right? But yeah, so I think that's important, is we can still have boundaries. We're not required to like listen to somebody's diatribe. We're not required to sacrifice our own boundaries, right? Or our own energy and time. So I want to make that point, that accepting, because, and this is a topic I want to broach with you another day, but it's apropos to just bring up, um, you know, radical acceptance of someone does not mean you are required to have them in your life, right? You can accept someone as they are and decide, I cannot have you around me for X number of reasons, right? So that's because when people talk about unconditional love and unconditional acceptance, I think they sometimes they misunderstand what that means. Like, you can love somebody from afar and accept them unconditionally and decide that you cannot have them around you or in your life at all. That is perfectly appropriate. So I just want to point that out because I'm big on boundaries, and I want to make sure people understand that accepting somebody without judgment does not mean sacrificing your boundaries or your time or your energy for them.
Of course, spirit has the only other thing they want to contribute. So saying yes, and make sure that when you set your boundary, you're not continually running through, because you said, I don't want to waste my energy by responding to that woman. You've already wasted it thinking about this and talking about it.
I'm not going to waste any more energy responding. Yeah,
so
totally.
They're saying, be mindful that as you say, back off, which is your right to say, back off, right? There's nothing wrong with doing these things. It doesn't make you non-spiritual. It doesn't make you, but you don't go home and guess what she told me. Guess what you telling all these. You're making
That's what
it bigger
I did to you.
And bigger.
Guess what happened today?
Guess what happened today?
That's exactly what happened too. I was like, I can't believe people are so lame. I'm so tired of this. Blah blah blah.
So they're showing, they use the boomerang image, which I think is a potent one. So they want to talk about another image of like what happens energetically when you engage in these things. Okay, so imagine a swirling pot of water, and you have a tiny bit of really potent food coloring. Okay. So incident happens, it's a drop, it's tiny, it's like a little bit of food coloring. But the more food coloring you drop into the swirling pot of water, what happens to the pot of water?
The more food color you drop in there?
Have you ever done this? Like when you're coloring it with your child, if you have a big pot of water and you put food coloring in it, it turns the entire thing the color of the food coloring. It's called food coloring. Like, right. Food coloring. So spirit's like, it might be a drop, but the more of it you put in, it just colors your and that's your water. That's you. You're doing this to yourself. So they're just trying to show you, like, when we engage in these things, and it can be about, maybe someone said something on a message board about mothering you don't like, and you focus on it and think about it, complain about it, and this and that. That's your pot of water. That person's fine. They're over there chilling in their best, living their best life. It's like, that whole thing. It's like anger is taking poison and hoping the other person dies. It's the same. Yeah,
you got to give the poison to the other person. That's how that works.
So bad.
I'm sorry.
It's up to you.
No, you're right.
Spirit goes like this, as you will.
It's a joke. It's a joke. And anger is poisonous. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So this is what Geminis do. We make jokes about serious topics. So it is poisonous. And holding on to the anger, anger can be constructive because it can signify to us when, like, our boundaries are being violated, or that somebody's treating us poorly, or our child poorly. So anger can be very helpful, but you're right. So staying there is not, though. Like, staying in the anger and letting it poison you and kind of hijack you is not. Yeah.
And if there's like a help me let this go, I'm having trouble, show me how to let it go.
Right.
You can just
Right.
ask for help. Show me how
Right.
to let it go. Show
Right.
me where this is coming from in me, right? That's powerful too. Like, why am I responding? I do this too. Like, what gets me is sometimes when I have like random interactions, the personal interactions I can sort of deal with, right? If I know the person, I'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, they're having a bad day. It's the random rudeness that, for whatever reason, really, really gets to me. And I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
And I just ask spirit, I'm like, why? Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
And they'll just tell me. They're like, because of, well, duh, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I
Interesting.
never thought of it that way. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's like, so from that experience of being annoyed that this person said this thing, you send out a little rocket of desire in yourself to be respected, to be treated well, to be,
Mm-hmm.
and only you can screw up that rocket by pulling it back and turning it onto yourself and
Right.
be
No,
like,
you're right.
how dare they?
That's
Blah, blah,
true.
blah.
You know, that's true. Like I always taught my son, treat everybody well until they give you a reason like not to, right? If they're jerks, you don't have to be around them anymore, clearly. If, you know, but treat everybody well, right? Until they give you a reason not to. There's no reason not to. So, yeah, totally. Yeah. You be happy because I was out last night. So I went to a book swap. I almost called you to come, but it was last minute. I went
Ooh,
to a
fun.
book swap and then I went to get takeout on the way home because I'm by myself this week.
That sounds
Went to-
fun.
it was awesome. I went to get Thai takeout and I'm sitting at the bar waiting for my takeout. I'm all excited. And there was this lady next to me talking to the bartender about how she just moved here and stuff. And I was like, oh, where'd you move from? Well, we struck up a conversation. It was very nice. So you'd be proud of me. See?
I'm proud of you.
So
I'm
yeah,
so proud
so
of you.
but it's nice, like, you
Yeah.
know, to be honest, I've learned in my old age that that when you like have interactions with people, even if you never see them again, like you can have a few moments of connection. It doesn't mean like not every interaction leads to like a lifelong friendship, and that's fine. Like I went out the other day with a friend of mine and we chatted with a couple of people and it was very nice, and one of them was like visiting from out of state, somebody we'll never see again, right? But that there was a nice few moments of connection and talking about stuff, like, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
and so you could have those moments of connection, and even if this does not turn into like a lifelong friendship, but it still has meaning. I guess that's my point, is it still has meaning. But I have noticed, like, when everybody, even people like me, once in a while, when we like are having a tough time, we reach out to other people. Like, what did I do after that interaction the other day? I called you.
Yeah. You're like, what the
What
hell?
the heck, right?
What
You
the heck?
reach you
Yeah.
reach out to somebody you
Yes.
trust, right?
Yes.
Like my son will do that to me. He will call me and complain about somebody else. That's fine. He needs to reach out to me at that moment and do, right? Or I'll reach out to a friend, or like I reach out to my sister a lot. You know, he's probably tired of hearing from me. So that kind of thing. Like we reach out to people. Even us introverts, we have the need to reach out to others when we're having tough times like that. So it's important.
Yeah.
That connectedness is very important. Yes.
I totally agree with you. And that's something that, you know, this practice is powerful, but it should never isolate you ever. You should never be like,
Yes.
well, I shouldn't think about this because that's giving it power. And so then you get more and more miserable. You're unable to snap yourself out of it. Like, the joy of life is friendship is such a lovely joy. There, Spirit's saying, like, and this is binary thinking, which humans are very good at, right? I can't reach out to anybody about anything because that contributes to the situation. What happens? You fester on the situation. You're doing the same thing. They're saying it's a better way to be mindful of how you're sharing. So the next time you vent, next time I call up Maria and complain to her, I say, I had a really strong reaction and I'm not sure why. This is what happened. So this isn't contributing in a negative way. This is saying this thing happened. I'm confused. What do you think? There's a difference between being in the bushes about something.
Yeah.
This person intended the following things by doing this. What an
Right.
ass. Can you believe it? Like, there's that. And then there's like, I got so upset and I'm not sure why. What do you, and have you ever had this happen to you? Like, that's the joy of friendship in our modern technology. when I have my Maria podcast and I'm just play, ooh, what happened? You know what I mean? Like that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
And I get great. And because you're linked to spirit and so am I, you might get a download for me. Like you said, there's no insignificant interaction. Like that woman at the bar, maybe she had a really tough day. She just moved. She didn't know anybody. She sits down, she turns over, looks at you, and then you have a smile on your face and she feels welcome. And she go home and she says to her cat, I think I found someone here that, made me feel better about.
Right.
Like you don't know how spirit uses you as you move throughout the day. So
yeah,
it's like,
that's totally, yeah, true. Because so many coincidences happen and you think, oh, that's just a coincidence. I believe less in coincidence than I used to. I think it's spirit driving you. Like what made me go and decide to get Thai food last night? Because I was thinking about other things. About Mexican, I was thinking about I could do anything, right? I really could do anything. I could also just go home and eat what's in the freezer, but that was not an option. At least not last night. But that's the thing. It's like what drives you to go do that at that moment.
And so they would like to keep on this topic because it's important for the topic you brought up and the sense of the conversation about women having it all, right? So spirit is saying like the same impulse that you're like, I think I'll get takeout. So usually if you're like me and you've been conditioned a certain way, the voice would say, no, you don't need those calories. No, you're going to spend too much money. No, like immediately I start talking down that impulse. And spirit is saying, the more you allow your intuition to say, no, I'm pretty sure I want takeout. Thank you. Right? So in this and in small decisions, it starts saying, if you have to go to a chat board to decide whether or not to take a job, like that means something has gone wrong in the system, right? Like it starts with small decisions. What do I want? What do I want to eat today? How do I want to move my body? Where do I go for my walk? Do I want to go on a walk? It starts with small things. And then once you've established a good relationship with yourself on the small things, caring for the self, this is true self-care. This is true self-care that women are teaching ourselves to do. Women don't trust ourselves to do this yet. Our bodies are our enemies. We have to Google what to eat. All this stuff they're saying, once women are able to make small decisions using intuition, the bigger decisions about career and parenting and all of that flows from that. But if there is no foundation, if you can't rely on yourself to tell yourself you want freaking takeout, what hope is there that you will make a great decision on whether or not to be the chairwoman of, like, it can't, they're just saying like these things can't happen. It's not going to go well. It's just, you're going to be off untethered. They're showing a kite that has lost it's just flying all over the place. You know what I mean? And I think people feel that way, specifically women. Like, I'm all over the place. It's because they are.
Absolutely.
There's nothing
Absolutely.
more.
Yeah. So what does the spirit team think about? I've been thinking about this all week. People seem to me to be on autopilot mostly, like not stopping to think.
They go, that's not going to be an option now.
Okay.
Which is why a lot of these large scale changes are happening.
Okay.
So the autopilot, we really felt this last year. Everyone was sleepwalking last year.
Everyone was. I mean, and it's, I feel like that's part of, I guess, the mom pressure I'm feeling is because I'm feeling like, I don't want this to be the case, but I'm feeling like this. Like I have to have a hand in everything or everything, like went to the doctor the other day and the nurse like says, oh, what medications are you on? Are you still on X? Yes. Are you still on Y? Yes. Yes. Doctor's coming in. Doctor says, okay, we're going to prescribe you this. Okay. Are you sure I can take that with medication X? Oh, no, you can't. Okay. Well, your nurse just asked me if I was still on medication X. And I said, yes. Are you not looking in the system? Like I have to always preempt. I feel like people have been the past year, as you say, relying so much on the technology. Everyone's on autopilot. Like, and, but no, so people we're not stopping to think and contemplate. It was just everything just moved to the next thing, the next task. Do you just see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. So autopilot works until you run into a mountain.
Yeah. I mean, the technology is only as good as the people who program it, and you have to still pay attention to it.
Yeah. So a lot of the large scale changes that will impact people on a very personal level will be ones of like, well, I've always blah, And now I'm having friction.
Mm-hmm.
Now my bank account, what happened? Where's my money? You know what I mean? Like and it's like all these things you relied on to put yourself to sleep. They're just showing a lot of sleeping. So the picture that a lot of times in my meditations, a certain theme comes up, and the theme I've been getting over and over and over again is the symbol for Aquarius, the water bearer, and they're standing in the water, and everyone's asleep on the land. And every so often, someone will come into the water with a water bearer. It's like a Pied Piper sensation.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, what's going on in society is like some people are following the Pied Piper, the Aquarius, off into the water. Like let's because again, it's an air sign, but it's the wateriest air sign there is, right? You cannot get more watery than an Aquarius for an air sign. But the rest of the land is sleeping. Everyone's on the land. Eventually, people will make their way into the water, right? And that's when you think of water, you think of healing, you think of baptism, you think of
Cleansing.
emotion.
Yeah,
like rebuilding.
Right.
What's on land is going to be rebuilt from the bottom up. So these small things that you're noticing, I'm noticing them in my life too. It's like, wait, all of a sudden, good, gee golly. And it's usually a part of my life that I've like fallen asleep on. It's like, and I'm like, oh, wait, this isn't working. And they're saying too, instead of fear being the first response, like, what's in our technology? Like, oh, instead of that, they're like, instead, find your amusement. It's sort of funny. You're going to kill me with that medication. Like, use your Gemini. You know what I mean? They're like it's
that would have been a nice liability case. I would have been rich, doctor.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, because you know why, Maria? When you do that, you automatically start to buoy up. It's like, ha ha, you're laughing. And have you ever been in a good mood? They're showing you at the takeout counter. And I've had moments too where I'm in such a good mood. Nothing anyone does will like.
I was in such a good mood yesterday. I was in such a good mood. I got some new books. I got takeout.
But they're saying like when that good move happens, you know what it's like? It's like jet skiing on top of the ocean. Where all this gunk is below and you're just like, so they're like, the more you can respond with amusement, seeing the perspective, having the humor. Like I've been in moods too, where it's like, I've been in such a good mood and someone was like horrifically awful. And I'll be like, oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I'm all right. You know what I mean? Like you lift them up from your good mood.
Right.
Instead of being cratered down. And there are days like, I think last night was my day. I'm like, you're all coming down with me. Everyone's coming down with me. It's like I couldn't bring myself. So they're like, there are days you're just going to have that it's just like energetically, whatever, like you're just going to be down here. And they're like, find your amusement about it. Like I was down. My whole family went down with me because that's how things work. And I was just like, okay, well, it became funny. I'm like, of course they're all in bad moods. I'm in a bad mood. You know what I mean? It's like,
I know. You don't have to tell me twice. I have a Scorpio kid, so it's kind of like, so, but, teenagers are so funny, man. It's like, so the mood swings, this is a separate discussion, but like the mood swings teenagers have, but then my kid, because he has an air moon, God bless you, air moon people, but you are a lot to handle sometimes. But because he has a Gemini moon, his mood changes so frequently. But when he's in a crappy mood, I console myself, telling myself in 5 minutes he'll be out of this. And he is. He comes out of his room. Can we get takeout tonight?
Yeah.
Can I have $5? I'm like, oh, really? You're gonna ask for $5 and like 5 minutes ago you were like cursing me. Not really cursing me, but you know. But yeah, so but it's funny. So but you gotta roll with that. Man, let me tell you. It has having a teenager has been helpful in just helping me learn to regulate, because you have to regulate. You have no freaking choice. You have to.
Okay, so they like this metaphor. So people who don't have teenagers are all going to have teenagers metaphorically, because the changes going on right now are going to feel like we all have our own personal teen. It's going to feel like getting bit for no reason, getting snapped at for no reason. Why did you total my car? Like, are you not thinking, where is your head? Where is your brain? Like these moments of just like confusion where you're feeling like, wow, I'm out of control because I have this out of control person by me. And you force yourself to regulate. You say, I can't be whipped around with this teen. I have to like be simpatico at all times, right? So they're saying, metaphorically speaking, we all have teenagers now. That's how it's going to feel. and the ability, as you move through it, you can get angrier and angrier at that teen, and that teen is likely going to get bigger and bigger in your life. Or you can find your amusement about the teen,
You
order
have
some
to.
takeout,
Yeah, you
like
have to.
just keep yourself in that good mood. Keeping yourself in the highest vibe, the highest mood possible is the most important
Oh yeah.
skill
Yeah.
anyone ever. So they're just really, really making this point. Like, you've got to understand. And if you've never endeavored to put yourself in a good mood, now is the time to write a joy list. What is it? Is it music, a movie, a friend, a walk, a dog, a cat? What is it? They're like, throw it at the wall. You must find what amuses you, what brings you joy, because these are the things that are going to allow you to jet ski across this year. And if you don't, you're going to be scuba diving with all the other fools down there.
That's true.
Why?
That's
Why?
true.
You can do it. They're saying, like,
Yeah.
do as you will. This is,
Yeah.
we've free will here.
Free will, yeah.
But one is more fun than the other. I
Right.
guarantee it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We do like a gratitude list at home. Like, before you go, tell me 3 things you're grateful for. Nothing. Like, no, you can find 3 things, right? So we do that. Also, like, we had a few snow days here the other week. The kids were home, and it was like the 3rd snow day in a row. And my son is gaming, sitting where I am now, gaming, and I'm out watching TV with my feet up in the heater. And I say to, this is going to your high vibe statement. I called to him from the couch. I'm like, this is the life, man. And he goes, what, Mom? And I said, this right here, this is the life. And he goes, I effing know, Mom. I effing know. And we just had such a good time. Yeah. I was like, man, you know what? These snow days this is what it's about. Just put your feet up, have a good time. And then I told him, I said, you've been home like 5, 6 days in a row. I said, this is the other week. I said, aren't you bored at home? He's like, heck no. Heck no. I got everything I need right here.
Yeah, spoken like a man.
Anyway, so exactly. So we had a good time though. It was a high vibe week. It was good.
Remember those moments, because again, like when things get stressful,
Yeah.
they're so much more delicious if you flip them into the high vibe mode and you're on
Yeah.
America's Funniest Home Videos and you're like, this is sort of funny. If you can flip to like, man, this is the freaking life. Here's why that's key.
Yeah.
They're showing it. So they like the video game metaphor. They're showing it as leveling up in a video game.
Okay.
So when you level up in a video game, you've unlocked that layer and then you go to another puzzle, right? So the more you unlock for yourself in terms of like high vibe, like you're kicking butt, you eat the magic mushroom, you get bigger, you're playing Mario or some other, you know what I mean? You level up to the next game. It's a different plan. Where are these? Who are these? And then you start playing that one. So some people in life understand never level up ever. They are at the same level, right? And it's not what you achieve. You talked at the beginning about some people have passed me by and there's that. Spirit is laughing so hard. And they're like, gosh, do you all have it twisted? The goal in life is to experience as much joy as humanly possible. Because as you do that, things start to happen. And you start to see the things you want come into your life and things get fun. So if you the whole goal is to keep it as high as possible, level up. There's no limit to the leveling up, right? And the more you do that, that's a muscle just like anything else. And everyone this year will either go to the gym or sink really low because it's hard to do it in fits and starts, like go to the gym and then you never go again. And so it has to be something that, if you ever have an accountability to, I like how you do it with Daniel, like 3 things you're grateful for, give it to me now. You know what I mean? Like, just like bringing your vibe up through that, that's the best way to help your children. When you were saying at the beginning of this, devoting yourself to parenthood, my main guide came up to me and said, your kids don't need you the way that you think you do, that they do. Like, they are your teachers. We have it revert. We think, I need to bring you into and it's like, learn from this. This entity came from source a lot more recently than you did. A lot more recently.
That's true. No, that's true. And I've noticed that when I let things go and focus on like the high vibe and just the focus on connection, things just seem to work out. It's true. It's true. It sounds weird, but it's true. Like you focus on, because there's a lot of overparenting going on, especially where we live. Oh my God. When you just focus on letting go, accepting your kids as is, being open to them, and focus on the connection and the communication, like things tend to kind of resolve on their own. I'm not saying kids aren't going to need guidance. They will need guidance, but it can come in various sources, and it's not always like you telling them, here's what you need to do, blah blah blah, right?
100%. So their Team Rainbow just gave you a big round of applause.
I
They
do my
really like
best.
that.
I do my best. I do. It's hard sometimes, but I do my best. But yeah, but I want to point out that, like you said, about flexing the muscle, the more you're in a high vibe state, the easier it is to maintain. And you will just, it's like working out, and you will
Stay up
just
there.
be in that high vibe state. You will. Like, it does work. Like, it's taken me a while to get there, but it does work.
Yeah.
And it's easier to maintain. And when
Yes.
things don't go your way, or you have anxiety, it's just, you have to work through that. It doesn't necessarily go away altogether, but it is easier to get back to that
Yeah.
more high vibe state. Yeah, it does
Muscle
happen.
memory, vibe
Muscle
memory.
Oh
It's like, oh yeah, this is easier. You'll remember.
yeah.
This is so much easier being up here. I'm not doing that other
Oh, it
thing we
is.
have
It
to do.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. So, and like you say, like, I mean, we're all in the journey anyway. Like Esther Hicks says, we're all going to get there. Some of us are going to enjoy the journey. Some of us are going to be drag kicking and screaming, but we're all going to get there. So
We're
you
all
may as
gonna get
well
there.
enjoy the
Yeah.
journey while we're on it, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
So
It's your time. There's there's oodles and oodles of it. You know what I mean? You have plenty of time.
yeah, so right before our we met online now, I was planning my next trip.
There you go.
I don't know where yet, but that's what I'm working
I
on.
love that. So what I love about what you've displayed on here and what the team is acknowledging is you are following the impulses.
Hmm.
I don't know where, but I want to go on a trip. It's like
Yeah.
it's coming in and you're doing the thing,
Right.
right? I think
Right.
a lot of us, I can definitely learn from that because as a Capricorn, I'm the queen of shutting anything down. Is it
Of
expensive?
course. Of
Will it take me
course.
away from work?
Of
Will it like
course.
no, 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 no?
It's
You know what I
practical.
mean? So it's like,
Just have some fun.
no, what's that? We don't do that here. We don't do that here.
See, I'm all about fun. I'm all about fun, man. But I have a cat moon, so I have to, it has to be practical. Somebody once said to me, you're like, you like to take risks, but always from this place of like this foundation of stability. And I said, that's exactly right.
That's exactly right. I
That
think
is
that's the goal
exactly
for all
right.
of this. And they like that as a metaphor for life. You can take risks
Yeah.
because ultimately you are supported. And the
Yeah.
higher the vibe is, the more you know that. And the lower the vibe is, the more that you believe that that's not true. So as you continually move yourself towards a state of higher and higher vibration, it's like you're just going to feel better and better and more secure and more secure. And
Right.
risks you take that people see you make, they're going to be like, I cannot believe you did that. And you're going to be like,
Yeah.
why? It's like walking across the
Yeah.
street. It's going to seem so
Yeah.
easy to you, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what a great convo.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming today. This was really
Of
good.
course, this is
This
so
was really
fun.
good.
The team was very excited. You had a lot of energy show up for this. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you,
This was
Team
a great,
Rainbow.
I wasn't, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I wasn't sure what direction exactly we were going to go in today. So
I was
but this
wondering
is
too.
awesome. This is
I was
awesome.
wondering too.
I really, it's always kind of a cool, sometimes it's a cool surprise. It's always like what's good, what are they going to say? What's going to happen? What are we going to talk about? It's kind of cool.
So there's one thing they want to leave you with. So
Mhm.
the snow day you had with your son,
Yeah.
he's going to remember for a long time. So yeah, some that just came through. They're
That's
like, he's
awesome.
going to remember that from years and years to come.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
Good
We
job,
didn't do
Mom.
much. We just hung out and ate a lot and played
But isn't
video
that
games.
funny? Isn't that funny how easy that was?
But
How
it's
easy.
so it's like I always say how parenting is hard. And it is. Parenting is hard, mostly probably because it just takes me a lot of emotional energy. And that's nothing to do with my kid. That's with me. But it is all like I find it so easy to connect with my kid. I just find that to be effortless. I don't know. A lot of the other stuff with parenting, like the organizational stuff, that can be tough. The motivating a teen sometimes can be tough. But like just the connecting and conversational stuff to me is absolutely effortless. It's always been.
So another idea for you, maybe on a future session, or maybe you could work with Team Rainbow on this if you want to, is if you're saying, I want to bring the ease of me being around my son to other areas of parenthood. That's just
That's
another
awesome.
desire.
Yeah.
You can absolutely have that.
Yeah.
You can have it all.
You can have it all. You can have it all.
You can have
Sometimes
it
you
all.
have to make choices about where to invest your energy at that time. That is true.
Just listen to the impulse.
Because we are
The impulse
souls.
will tell you.
Yes,
The
we are
impulse will
souls,
tell
but we are still have this physical body that needs to be taken care of this iteration, right? So you have to recognize that. But like you said, follow your impulses, and you can ask. You can ask
Always
for
ask.
help. By the way, I did ask Spirit Team for help over the past week, and I got help, and it was really cool. So
Good.
I'll
Keep
tell you
doing
more
it.
about that later. Anyway, we're running up on time. This has been over an hour. So thank you, Amy. Thank you, Spirit Team. This was awesome. And we will see you again very shortly. We have a lot to talk about.
Bye, everybody.
Everybody have a great weekend.